What's up, guys? Samoan Fan 101 here, and this is my Bound for Glory 2017 review. About 5 months too late, but I'm giving it to you now. And out now, I said this is going to be an audio review, not strictly well, not audio in terms of just like, you know, not seeing my face, but audio in terms of me talking. You're not going to see that until the, you know, each, you know, pay-per-view starts, like, you know, like Fastlane Elimination Chamber coming up this month. You will not see the video regular pay-per-view reviews. You will see video edited reviews, much like guys like Prince of Strong Style, Lundrick, you know, 7699, 619, CC Titans Fan. Those guys, I'll be doing reviews more like those for the past shows that I said I would watch and review. WCPW, eventually Defiant Wrestling. Unless, you know, the big shows that, you know, people debut on, of course. Like, for example, the first show under the name Defiant Wrestling, I'll probably do an audio review on. Because it is the new name, it is the name under a new banner, so, yeah. So yeah, so maybe a couple of certain Ring of Honor shows, most likely the New Japan Dominion show, quick audio. It's gonna be a process, so your guys are just gonna have to bear with me on this one, but I will be trying to keep up with recent pay-per-views, mainly WWE, the NXT TakeOver coming up in April, or March, I forget the date of WrestleMania. I hear TNA/GFW, Impact, whatever the hell they call themselves, they're bringing back the Lockdown pay-per-view. It's gonna be the first time it's been a pay-per-view since 2014. It's been 4 years. But, this is my Bound for Glory review. And, going into the show, I had somewhat low expectations, because I heard across the board this show was a complete pile of goat shit. Goat shit, dog shit, bullshit. It was a shitty show. And they were right to a degree. There were definitely parts of the show that were complete mounds of assholes. I mean, like, literally the asshole shit. Yeah. I'm sorry. But, yeah, there were parts of the show that really did piss me off. But I will say, this show was not a complete pile of dog shit. I will say, there were bright spots to what was an otherwise average as hell, not so good show. So, oh well. I have my water bottle with me. I probably left it outside. You know, out there. But, let's get this out of the way. The opening match of the show. This is an 8-match card. The opening match of the show was a 6-way X Division Championship match, like a 6-pack challenge, basically. It was Trevor Lee defending the X Division Championship against Super X Cup winner Desmond Xavier, Matt Seidel, the former Evan Bourne, Petey Williams, Garza Jr., nephew of Hector Garza, and Sanjay Dutt, who Trevor Lee beat to win the championship. Now, with that being said, even though there were some people liked a couple of the matches in the card, some people didn't like it, most people agreed this was definitely the high point of the show, and it's really not hard to see why. This match was a lot of fun to watch. It was even though it was like 6-pack challenge, they did the tag team rules where you have to tag in someone in order for them to really compete. I never got that, considering the fact that by the end of the match, everyone's already doing everything to win, and the people who are usually pinning and doing the pin aren't even legal. So I never got that, but you just learn to deal with it. It's one of those, you know, wrestling things. Not even a TNA thing. It's a wrestling thing in general. But yeah, thankfully, Caleb Conley and Andrew Everett were banned from ringside so that we didn't get any bullshit in this match. One of the only matches in the whole show we didn't get any bullshit. Probably the only match. Now that I think of that and the women's title match, I'll get to that. So we have a six-way. We have a six-way match. Things started out in tags. Not really too much in the way of spots, because of course there were a lot of spots. It started out with Trevor Lee being heel, pretending to start the match, and then knowing tagging in. I think it wasn't Sanjay Dutt, it was Matt Sydal. Of course, the famous Garza Jr. ripping off his pants, which is hilarious. Garza Jr., by the way, came in with a taped-up shoulder. I guess he was selling an injury he suffered earlier on Impact. Either that or he had a legitimate injury. And he was competing. Sorry, I had chips before this. He was competing he was competing basically, for the most part, with one arm. And still did pretty well. And there was a point, I will admit, was pretty fun. When, Trevor Lee was on the attack, he was talking so much shit. All the X Division wrestlers then were beating the ever-loving hell out of him. 4 wrestlers did a 4-way super kick spot, and then 4 of the same wrestlers, I think, that wasn't Petey Williams in this case, gave him a simultaneous drop kick to the corner when he was in the Tree of Woe. By the way, speaking of Petey Williams, massively over on the show. Not surprising considering the show took place in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. And of course, Petey Williams is Canadian. And it just made his, not even TNA, but his wrestling return this year. So it was a lot of fun for Canada to see Petey Williams. There was a lot of fun spots. I can't even count how many spots there really were, because this is the X Division. It did slow down a little bit when, for the most part, Trevor Lee was in the ring and just working over whoever was in the ring. It did slow down a little bit. I say out of all the guys in this match, the one person who felt out of place at times was Trevor Lee, because I've seen some of his matches in PWG. It's obvious he's holding back in TNA, whether or not they're telling him to hold back or he's just doing it on his own. He's got to stop doing that. But everyone else looked really, really good. I mean, Trevor Lee was fine, but I know he's capable of better. Everyone else was very good. The finish, what happened was, everyone was hitting moves. Certain ones were hitting their finishers. Sydal went for the shooting star press. He missed. Xavier caught him with that back way rolling kick. And then after that, Petey Williams came in. He got Desmond Xavier with the Canadian Destroyer, and like the little slime ball that he is, or should I say fur ball, considering the amount of hair he has, Trevor Lee quickly came in, threw Petey Williams out of the ring, and pinned Desmond Xavier for the win. This was a pretty good match. This was definitely the best match of the show. I had a lot of fun. A lot of the X Division guys really did well here, and unlike most of the matches on the card, this match was not handicapped by any bullshit finishes. It was a straight-up match in which the heel happened to win. So, I like that. Quick side note, Hakeem Zayn was in the crowd. He won it was supposed to be a GFW and then later Impact, but it was like a Impact, it was called, I remember, it was called Global Forged, when they were gonna, find wrestlers who were, not train them from the ground up, but like find certain wrestlers, train them to be more, to what it's like and going to be in the mainstream, because of course when you're in the indies, at times you're learning as you go along. And they picked Hakeem Zayn, and Hakeem Zayn, I believe, is a X Division wrestler. and I think is also a heel. Next was pretty much a throwaway match on a pay-per-view. It was Taiji Ishimori versus Tyson Dukes. You're probably wondering, who the hell is Tyson Dukes? And honestly, I was wondering that, even though the name, for whatever reason, sounded familiar to me. I had to look it up. And apparently, Tyson Dukes is, for me, is known for two things. More so than one. Tyson Dukes, way back in 2003, teamed with a pre-TNA Bobby Roode to face La Resistance on Sunday Night Heat. Oddly enough, for the World Tag Team titles, according to what I read. But still, they teamed up to face La Resistance. Yeah, I'd say that was interesting. Mainly because of Bobby Roode, not Tyson Dukes. And the second thing I remember him being in, and I actually had to look it up, and then I remembered, oh yeah, that's right. He was in the Cruiserweight Classic. He faced Zack Sabre Jr. in round 1 and lost. And what I recall being a good match, you could look back at my Cruiserweight Classic reviews, and it'll probably spell it out there. And yes, it's not Tyson Dukes. Even I reading it, it's like Tyson Ducks. No, it's Tyson Dukes, like Duke Nukem. Or Nukes, I don't know. But anyway, I thought they had... It was a bang-on... It was barely an average match. It was not that good, but I can't blame either Tyson Dukes or Taiji Ishimori. For two reasons. One, the match barely even went 5 minutes. In fact, it may have even gone less than 5 minutes. But two, Laurel Van Ness was in the crowd. Now, for those of you who didn't watch Impact up until then, let me bring you up to speed. Laurel Van Ness, way early that year, was just a regular person. She was going to marry Braxton Sutter on TV. This was back when Mike and Maria Bennett were still... Mike Bennett and Maria Kanellis were still... were part of TNA. This was... she was going to get married to Braxton Sutter, basically force him into marriage. Allie, who was kind of the little shy person, finally spoke up for herself, attacked Maria. Braxton Sutter said hell no, married, or basically became on-screen boyfriend-girlfriend with Allie, who, by the way, those two people are actually married in real life. So I guess it makes sense. They beat up Mike Bennett, beat up Maria. Laurel really wasn't attacked, more she was crying. And, of course, Allie and Braxton had nothing to do with Laurel anymore. Mike and Maria went on to WWE to do nothing, as it turned out, only to get paid, probably on time, most likely. And then Laurel went into a craze. She became crazy. She was wearing the same wedding gown. She competed with no boots, which I always thought was a dumb thing to begin with. Because, like, if Rusev is anything to indicate, always wear your boots when you wrestle. Laurel didn't do that. Thankfully, she didn't get hurt. And then, you know, had a brief relationship with Grado, though it was a manipulative relationship. They were going to get married again because Grado needed a visa to stay in the U.S. Apparently, they were idiots because Laurel is Canadian. And then they called it off. Laurel went back to being crazy. She went around the crowd, and they did this on Impact before. She went around the crowd, basically doing weird stuff with, not doing weird stuff to people, but acting weird around people. Of course, the lipstick was all messed up as it is now on TV. That's how we got here on the show. That's what she was doing. She was out in the crowd, doing whatever she wanted, and yeah, there was one problem, big problem with this match. They kept focusing way too much on Laurel Van Ness, who, by the way, didn't contribute jack shit to this match. This match, I probably would have rated higher if it was just these two having a short little match with Ishimori getting the win. It wasn't, and apparently, you know, I don't even know. They didn't even market this match, so this match was a last minute thing considering the events leading up to the show. I'll get to that. It was a somewhat solid match because the work between the two guys were good. Under normal circumstances, I'd give this match, I'm revealing one of my star ratings here, I'd probably give this match 2.5 stars, but they focused so much on Laurel, it kept on breaking up the match, to the point where there was a moment when there was something happening in the ring, and we didn't see it, because cameras were focusing way too much on Laurel Van Ness. And this is not the first time that the production crew screwed the pooch. Not the first time they screwed up. In a couple backstage interviews, there was static. You could only barely hear what they were going on, what they were saying. I mean, because whenever they were yelling, the static would go to its highest point, mainly with James Storm in a backstage interview. But yeah, so Taiji Ishimori beat Tyson Dukes after a 450, and there we go. After that, we got a brief backstage where Grado's trying to get out of his match with Abyss. Again, I'll get to why they're having a match in a moment. Alberto El Patron, who, if you looked on social media and stuff, had a whirlwind relationship with Paige. Now she had a whirlwind relationship with Paige. He was suspended by Impact Wrestling after an incident at the airport. Now, even though it was proven that Paige was in the fault and really El Patron did nothing wrong here, he was still suspended due to past actions that Alberto has had within and out of the company. You know, being drunk and going on a drunken rampage on social media against Big Nose, or key code for Triple H. Talking about WWE constantly after the show or pay-per-view in Slammiversary's case went off the air, and just generally acting like an asshole. And TNA punished him for it. So he's back. He came back here, and who we saw at the beginning of the show. Then he came in. He cut a promo after the Ishimori match. He cut a promo. Basically talking about, not really naming any names of what really happened. He talked about what happened, how the people in the back screwed him and betrayed him because it wasn't that incident that he was suspended for, wasn't his fault, and yeah, it wasn't his fault, but they suspended him anyways. He said that they have no balls and that they're backstabbers. And he said, if you read the reports, he did nothing wrong, but he got punished for it anyway. And they suspended him, they took his championship, and they stopped paying him. He said that Eli Drake was a paper champion, and apparently the company did not care about Alberto El Patron's kids. He even named his kids, and and he was also insulted by the fact that nobody either called or texted him while he was gone. Like, nobody cared about him is basically what he's saying. And that he basically alluded that he's going to do something later tonight. He even confronted, he mocked the crowd, he called them cowards and losers and stuff. He singled out Jeremy Borash on commentary, saying he thought that they were friends, and he asked Borash in front of everyone, "Did you call me while I was gone? Did you contact me?" Yelling at Borash, basically trying to admit the truth, and Borash, like an honest man he is, said no, he did not call him, and that he apologized. Apparently, Alberto did not beat the shit out of him, so maybe he'd forgiven him, but he was still pissed. He said he came here with a plan, and that he was going to make a statement later in the night. And it will be amazing. This wasn't a bad promo, but it felt unneeded. You really could have. This is the kind of promo that you could have had after the show was over on an episode of Impact, not on a pay-per-view, which is part of the reason, which is part of why it was unnecessary and I didn't like it. Not that it was a bad promo, but the fact that this promo belonged on Impact. It did not belong on Bound for Glory. It's like the equivalent of Triple H coming out for a promo at WrestleMania. Oh wait, he did. He came out for a promo at WrestleMania 31 along with Stephanie McMahon. Then The Rock and Ronda Rousey came out and saved us from a shit-tacular segment. It turned out to be a really good segment, but it was balls up until that point. Next up was the Monsters Ball match for Abyss and Grado. If Grado won, he would keep his visa to stay in the United States and wrestle in Impact. If not, he'd be gone from Impact Wrestling. That's basically the story here. That's how it happened. You're probably wondering, why the hell would Abyss care? Well, Grado, for a little bit, was being managed by Joseph Park. In fact, he and Joseph Park even beat Scott Steiner and Josh Matthews. No. I'm thinking of Jeremy Borash. Okay, fuck up on my part. But still, Joseph Park came back. He was being Grado's manager. Had to break him the bad news that his company visa or whatever it was being revoked or was suspended or whatever. And and that's where the whole Laurel Van Ness storyline came in, because he said, marry someone who's American, and you can stay here. Apparently, they didn't do their damn research, as Laurel said, she was from Canada. Then there was then after the breakup, Joseph Park basically said, "Here, I'll handle your visa." As part of Park and Parks, and Joseph and Grado was competing in the U.S. Problem was Joseph Park was acting somewhat selfish, not really as a heel, but acting kind of selfish and dumb, really more so, by taking most of pocketing most of Grado's pay. And eventually Grado found out, confronted him about it, said that, and basically said that you'll stay here so long as you beat my brother Abyss at Bound for Glory, and that's how we're here. So yeah, that's how this match came to be. Grado came out looking more like Mick Foley than anything else I've seen. He had a flannel and everything. I'm not kidding. He had jeans with knee pads, so I thought, like, oh shit, this guy's going to be in a street fight. It's a Monsters Ball. I guess it basically is a street fight. Abyss came out, cut a brief promo, because Grado came out seriously, even though he usually comes out to dance. He made him dance, Grado danced, then kicked Abyss in the balls, and the match got underway. They got a lot of things out for this match. They got kendo sticks, hit each other with trash cans, steel chairs. He even had a cheese grater at one point, and got Abyss right in the balls for it. Another point, Abyss got a staple gun and stapled him right in the head. He got out several barbed wire boards. He set one outside, and there was two in the ring. Grado, Grado. Yeah, that's right. Grado got the cheese grater, got him right in the balls, which wasn't as awesome as when Abyss did the same thing to Bully Ray 5 years ago at Genesis, because that was an awesome spot, mainly because of Bully Ray's selling. It was amazing. It really was amazing. There was Abyss went outside, went to get Janice, which is a board with nails in it. For those of you who don't know, Janice is actually named after Janice Carter, Dixie Carter's mom. There was a spot when Grado was up top and was going to do a splash in the ring. Or he was going to do something. But then Grado threw a trash can at him, and he fell through a barbed wire table that was set up outside. Really, it's not even a table. It's a barbed wire board that was set outside, wedged in between the ring and the barricade. So then Abyss got Grado back in. He got the nails. Earlier, he got the ever famous bag full of thumbtacks that he laid out on the mat. Then there was a spot later in the match when Grado had Abyss on the barbed wire board, and in the two barbed wire boards in the ring. He had Abyss in one of them, on one of the boards, and and put another one on Grado. I think this was after an attempted chokeslam spot, and Grado simply just pushed him onto the board back first. Put the first board on top, and then went up top, hit a splash from up top on the board. Did not get the win there. And once again, we saw Laurel Van Ness back in the crowd, although this time she actually contributed something to the match. She came in the ring when Abyss, after the splash, she came in the ring to attack Grado. She low-blowed him, Ric Flair style, and even hit the Unprettier, or the, God, I already forget what the Christian's move when he came back. Kill switch. He called it the kill switch, but yeah, it was the Unprettier. She basically beat up on Grado. She went to go grab Janice. Then the lights went out, and then when the lights turned back on, Rosemary was in the ring. She missed it. Of course, they did something with her eyes. Probably put some cover lenses on them. She missed it. Laurel Van Ness right in the face. Then, basically took her out of the match. She went off. She faced off with She eventually faced off with Abyss, who, of course, last year, well, really the year before, I should say, they were part of the Decay stable. Even earlier this year, they were part of the Decay stable. It was Abyss, Crazy Steve, and Rosemary as their female companion. So she tried. Abyss at first went to chokeslam her on the thumbtacks, but then she calmed her down. Basically went to help him. Abyss went to pick up Grado. Rosemary went to miss Grado. He got out of the way. She misted Abyss, who she tried to comfort afterwards. Abyss either didn't see or was too pissed to figure out that it was her. Chokeslammed her right on the thumbtacks, and then Grado tried to roll him up for the 2. But didn't get it. Abyss hit probably the worst black hole slam I've ever seen him do onto one of the barbed wire boards that was still in the ring, and Abyss pinned Grado. This match fucking sucked. Gonna say that right now. This match was fucking awful. This was the worst match of the night. Almost the second worst, but I gave another match later on a little bit better, but still not that good. But this match was fucking terrible. The reason why? Yes, there were a couple fun spots. Grado going through the barbed wire boards. A board outside. Grado hitting the top rope splash. Grado hitting the top rope splash onto Abyss wedged in between 2 barbed wire boards. Rosemary, period, and Rosemary getting choke slammed on the tacks. But aside from those spots, this match had no flow. There was no real anything to this match. This match was fucking awful. There was no real story. Aside from Abyss's redrawn-looking later mask that he wore later on, he had a redrawn mask. It would look black, which of course is always Abyss's color. They should keep it at that instead of the weird brownish color they had earlier. But aside from those small things, that it kept it from being a drizzling shit match. I would have outright called this a dud, but for the couple of things that I barely enjoyed, it was nice. But this match was fucking awful. and I've heard that Grado is a little bit better on the indie scenes that we've seen in TNA. If that's true, then it's a good thing he's not in TNA anymore, because Grado, for all the time that he was in TNA, in and out of TNA, every time I saw him, I groaned, because I'm like, oh, jeez, I do not want to see this guy on my TV anymore. It was fucking awful. And I'm glad that the Grado TNA experiment is over, or Impact experiment, whatever the hell they call themselves. Now, you're probably wondering, what the hell was Rosemary doing here? Yeah, she was connected with Abyss, which they did use, but she had no connection with either Grado or Laurel Van Ness, at least not that we really knew of. Now, here's the thing. For those of you who are watching Impact, and I know I was, and I was looking forward to it, I was looking forward to this match, not the Grado match, but I was looking forward to a match that we didn't even get on the show. It was Taya and Rosemary. Taya and Rosemary were scheduled to be in I think it was like a last knockout standing match. It was a match with some kind of stipulation. Basically, they were going to have a last knockout standing match. But what happened was Taya, for whatever reason, had visa issues. Now, I don't really know why, but she was having trouble with the visa thing getting into Canada. It was actually no, it wasn't a knockout standing match, because it was actually going to be a first blood match. I was actually looking forward to this match a lot. But what happened was there was visa issues. So Taya could not compete at Bound for Glory. Because remember, Bound for Glory took place in Canada. Did not take place in the US. So there were some visa problems. And I was pretty pissed off at that, because you're probably thinking, wait, why didn't they try to do that ahead of time? Most likely, they pulled the match out of their ass about a month before the show started. They got Taya in for a cup of tea. They built her up big time. And all of a sudden, she's gone. And we haven't seen Taya since then. We have not seen Taya since in Impact. And I was hoping that she was going to be one of the bright spots of the Knockouts division. Apparently not. So, yes, that is a major fuck-up on the part of Impact Wrestling. And it's not the only person who got screwed over trying to get into Canada. Next, we had Team Impact versus Team AAA. This was due to the international partnerships that Impact now has with AAA, with Pro Wrestling Noah, with the Crash promotion. That's why we saw guys like Garza Jr. and Taiji Ishimori, and we saw some of those guys in TNA or in Impact, and we still see them now. Taiji Ishimori, currently, as far as TV goes, I didn't see the tapings, at least not all of it. But Taiji Ishimori is the X Division champion. Eddie Edwards at Bound for Glory, was actually the GHC champion. Basically, meaning he was the top champion in Pro Wrestling Noah. I am not shitting you. And believe it or not, I actually saw all of his Noah matches. They were actually all of his Noah title matches, I should say. They're actually really, really good. But yeah, Team Impact was Eddie Edwards, who was the GHC champion, James Storm, and EC3, who was the Impact Grand Champion, against Team AAA, which was El Hijo del Fantasma, who in Lucha Underground is King Cuerno, Pagano, and El Tejano Jr., who in Lucha Underground is simply Tejano. So these guys had a six-man tag team match. Not too much in the way of big spots. They actually kept it pretty simple, and honestly, that's part of why this match suffered a lot. Was because there was nothing to really entice us. EC3, for a while did not participate in this match because, of course, he's the heel. Storm and Edwards are the baby faces. But eventually, he finally got fired up. now wanted, and way later in the match, he wanted to tag in. Now, there's there's a saying that sometimes too much build-up to a match can hurt the match, and honestly, it makes sense here. They built up this Team Impact versus Team AAA match for a while, and this feud that was going on between certain members of Impact and certain members of Team AAA, that we were expecting a great match here with a bunch of things that were happening, and that we didn't get that. We did not get that at all. Instead, we got it ended up being a pretty tame 6-man tag team match. It wasn't then that's part of why I thought this match wasn't that good, was because now it was not a bad match, but it could have been so much better, especially considering the talent involved. You have EC3, El Tejano Jr., El Hijo del Fantasma, and Eddie Edwards. You have James Storm, who, yeah, you could say he's past his prime, but is still good in the ring. And you have Pagano, who, from what I've seen in TNA, is not a bad wrestler. So you had 4 really good to great wrestlers, 2 competent wrestlers. I'm surprised we got a lackluster match. Now, a lot of that had to do with how it started out. The first several minutes of the match was not that great, because they were starting out slow. These guys got, up until the main event, these guys got the most amount of time in the show. These guys got like 15 minutes, and it actually really showed. They got 15 minutes to work a match that it felt lackluster. It felt like it should have been more like 10 minutes. If it went 10, maybe 11 to 12 minutes, then I would have been okay with it. The match wasn't a bad match. Eddie Edwards, I think yeah. God, I need my water. I'm sorry, I'm losing it, guys. I'm losing it. Eddie Edwards did fine in this match. When EC3 was legal, I think that I'm just gonna go straight to the finish, because I can barely remember some of the spots that was in this match. So you had Tejano, who he took out Storm in the ring. Pagano hit a top rope leg drop onto EC3. EC3 at one point, when the referee's back was turned and trying to get Storm on the ring apron, EC3 had double low blows and double 1%ers onto both Pagano and El Tejano Jr. By this point, I think Edwards had taken out Phantasma. No, what happened, God, I can't believe I keep forgetting this shit, because it wasn't that great of a match. What happened was, El Hijo del Fantasma, King Cuerno, they were on the ring apron, right? Phantasma was gonna go for a suicide dive. Edwards, blocked him. And then Phantasma got Edwards up for his inverted package pile driver. Basically, it was a package tombstone pile driver onto the ring apron, which was admittedly a pretty awesome spot. Then we got the leg drop spot and the double low blows and 1%ers. After that, he tagged him Storm. He told Storm to take their heads off, basically, and he super kicked Pagano for the 1-2-3. I did not think this was a particularly good match, but in the last few minutes, they did kind of win me over. I'm like, okay, this was at least a decent match. This was an average match. I felt that they had gotten a few less minutes and focused more on really beating the shit out of each other and doing several spots and having a little bit more of a flow, then it would have been a better match. As it was okay. EC3 and Storm shared a beer post-match. Didn't know EC3 was such a drinker. The next match, the ring was surrounded by all kinds of weapons. Tables with chains on them. We cut to a brief backstage look where a member of LAX, most likely it was Homicide, was taken out, and a flag was placed over him by a mystery man that we didn't see on screen. At least we didn't see his face. Then came the Tag Team Championship match. It was the OVE, Jake and Dave Christ. Jake is the blonde, Dave is the brunette, against LAX, and this Santana. Sorry about that. Santana and Ortiz. This match, very similar to the X Division match. It was a lot of action back and forth, and that's what made it awesome. Oh, not awesome, but it made it good. I thought this was a pretty good match. LAX hit their dies as OVE was making their entrance, and that's when the bell pretty much rang, and they started their 51-50 street fight. Why is it called 51-50? That's because LAX has this 51-50 logo. I'm not going to, again, much like the X Division match, I'm not going to describe every match and every spot in the match. But I will describe some of them. Dave Chris was fighting, I believe, Santana. Yeah, it was Santana. Up by the stage area. And, at one point, Santana gave, Dave, a power bomb through the, through a chair. Oh, no, I'm thinking of the wrong people. No, what happened, I'm going ahead of myself here. Dave and Santana, brawled into the crowd. At one point, Conan, hit Dave with a chair, and then later on, he hit Jake, I believe, with a trash can. So, Conan, a very much a physical part of this match. Ortiz hit a powerbomb off the stage through a table onto Jake. What Santana did, because there was two tables nearby. The one that Jake Chris got powerbombed through by Santana, or by Ortiz. I keep mixing those two up for whatever reason. Or Santana. Ortiz was the one that powerbombed Jake through the table. Santana grabbed Dave, put him on the table, then climbed up this light rigging. It was basically where the lights were, this giant scaffold-looking thing, and got up a little bit of ways and had a big splash through the table. That was actually pretty fun. And for a while, Jake Christ was in the ring by himself. Ortiz brought him back in the ring. He made a ladder bridge, which of course they used later on, I think. They basically beat the shit out of Jake Christ, and unlike the Grado Abyss match, this match it worked, because these guys had a flow, and they knew exactly what to do in the ring. A bunch of chairs were set up in the ring, together, of course. They were opened up, and they were placed on the mat. Jake, to counter Ortiz, I guess, whatever Ortiz was going to do, Jake, or maybe Jake set up the chairs. But long story short, he had Ortiz. He gave him a superplex through the chairs. There was one problem though. It was a slight botch, but one problem. Oh my god. Yes, his name is Overtease. Oh god, that's a horrible porn name. Ortiz overshot the chairs. And Jake, and he got a little bit of it, Ortiz did, but Jake pretty much took all the chairs on the landing. And that had to suck. The fact that they basically overshot the chairs. They didn't less overshot the chairs, and more they put the chairs too close to the corner. They really should have put it more in the middle of the ring, so that way both of them would hit it. If you want to make the effect better. Jake went for a pin, but Santana came back and set up a regular pile of chairs. LAX hit a Doomsday Blockbuster combo, which was pretty awesome. For near fall. Dave, by this point, managed to crawl back in the ring. Then the two teams faced off. traded kicks, beat the shit out of each other, and at this point, everyone was down. Santana and Ortiz were going for it because there was a table set up outside the ring. Santana and Ortiz were going for a move to, I believe it was Jake, through the table. But then we saw somebody come out of the crowd and throw throw like powder in Conan's face. Why he was affected by it, I don't know, considering the fact that Conan wears glasses, but oh well. And the person, as it was revealed, Sami Callihan. You know, Solomon Crow from NXT, Jeremiah Crane from Lucha Underground, Sami Callihan, former CZW star, came out and tossed powder in the face of Conan. He slammed Santana onto the ladder that was set up by Ortiz earlier. And I actually just remembered what Ortiz was going to do with the ladder. Ortiz was going to probably do a splash, but then Jake got up and threw a chair right at Ortiz's face that was placed on him. Jake, I mean. And he threw it at Ortiz's face, and the chair actually bent, and it actually hung off Ortiz's head for a moment, which was actually pretty cool. But going back to the ending of the match, Ortiz got slammed onto the ladder, and not Ortiz, Santana got slammed onto the ladder. Ortiz ended up getting pile driven. With a pile, he got driven to the table outside with a pile driver from the apron. Callihan put Ortiz back in the ring. They pinned, Jake and Dave did, Ortiz for the win. I thought this was a fun match. It was 10 minutes, it was a fun little brawl, and unlike the Monsters Ball with Abyss and Grado, this one, was actually had fun. It had fun spots, don't get me wrong. It had fun spots. But there was also a little bit of a flow with Dave Crist being taken out of the match for a little while, Jake being the underdog here, sort of, and Conan, of course, getting physically involved, either when he was attacking someone or when he was being attacked. There was also a story going in the match that OVE was going to bring their family, and Sami Callihan was what they meant, because I did a brief look outside. Sami Callihan actually does have history with Jake and Dave Crist, along with somebody else, as a faction. Not as OVE, as that's a TNA creation, or Impact, whatever, but they do have a history there. And I think they may actually be from Ohio. But, they do have history. And, with that said, the one thing I didn't like, and it has nothing to do with the match itself, the crowd, when Callihan debuted, the crowd seemingly didn't care. He came out to not silence, but he came out to little fanfare. I don't get it, considering this guy has a good body of work, granted, albeit brief, was on NXT TV, he was on Lucha Underground for a whole season at least. I know he was there, I think, later in Season 2, but he was a main fixture in Season 3. So why he came out to little fanfare, I honestly have no friggin' idea. If this was an NXT crowd, they would have lost their shit when he came out. Was very disappointed by the fans here. They basically did the double turn. And I thought this was a pretty good match. The one knock on the match was that the crowd wasn't as into it as, say, the opening X Division. I don't know why, because this was a good match. So, with that said, let's move on. Then we had the Knockouts Championship match. It was champion Sienna defending against Allie and Gail Kim in a three-way match. This was originally going to include a returning Taryn Terrell, who was going to come back for a short deal to be in the match because she's Gail Kim's friend. And they had some pretty damn good matches back in 2013. Go check them out. But, again, But why was Taryn Terrell not part of the match and not part of the show? Simply put, because again, there was visa issues. Taryn Terrell could not get into Canada. Therefore, she couldn't compete. And when they found that out, they basically read her off of television. And she's not the only person. First, then Taya, Taryn Terrell, and most importantly, Jim Cornette, who came back as the authority figure on Impact and actually was doing a good job. I actually liked Jim Cornette on Impact. He was funny. He could be serious. I loved it when he was yelling at people and his face looked like he was about to burst into a friggin' gusher. I literally like one of those red candy gushers. It would have been like one of those things. He was looking like the Kool-Aid Man for a while whenever his face was red. He couldn't get into Canada either, so they had to write him off of TV. Now nobody's in charge. What WTF? But yeah. Yeah. Bullshit. Again. This fucking company, it's like, even when the leadership changed, bullshit seems to follow this company wherever it goes. For their biggest show of the year, they couldn't get 3 of their stars, 2 of which were in matches, and 1 of which is their lead authority figure on the show. I call bullshit on that. That's idiotic decision making. I'm sorry, it was so stupid. Now, my little rant over. Back to the match. Allie and Gail Kim, this was her final match, by the way. She retired late last year. She came in, they worked over Sienna. Sienna, by the way, who I've heard was much better on the indie scene. So again, another star who's not showing everything that she could for whatever reason, whether it's her or Impact, I don't know. Yeah. This match they tried, but this match was disjointed. For example, outside, Allie went for a sliced bread off of a ring post to Sienna on the floor. That would have been an awesome spot. However, somewhere in there, they messed up, and Allie ended up hitting more of a stunner than she did sliced bread. So, yeah, try to figure that one out. Like another one, which was a little bit better, but Gail Kim hitting a Hurricane Rana off the top rope to Sienna. She hit it, but it definitely looked a little bit weird. But yeah, that's the story of this match. They tried several moves, and several of them got messed up. Several of them got botched. I'm just gonna go right for another one. Not even the finish. Sienna went for her finish, the AK-47, which is basically the pounce. You remember Monty Brown with the pounce? That's basically Sienna's move now. But then she hit her finish. She hit the pounce on I was about to say Cherry Bomb. That's what she's called on the indie scene, Allie is. She's called Cherry Bomb. She did the pounce on Allie, which looked bad. It looked more like a shove than it did a pounce. I mean, come on, that's messed up. There was a point when Allie hit Sienna with a code breaker, Gail Kim hit Allie with an eat defeat, and then Sienna broke it up for a 2. You're probably wondering what's the problem with that. After the code breaker that Allie gave Sienna, she was lying flat on her back. She wasn't even moving. But all of a sudden, when Gail Kim hit eat defeat, and was going for the pin, basically what happened is Sienna no-sold it and broke up the pin, and then went back to doing a move. That, to me, was stupid. Because it's like, great, she hit a code breaker, and you're not even going to sell it? She sold it by lying dead and then got right back up from it. She didn't get hurt by it and was like slowly getting back up and then broke up the pin. She just, boop, sat up like the Undertaker and just broke it up. That, to me, was another reason why this match was poor. And yes, I thought this match was not that good. Sienna tried to pick up Allie for what looked like a train, like A-Train's old finish, with the person being on her shoulder. For whatever, she had trouble getting Allie up on her shoulder, which looked embarrassing. She dumped her to the floor. She ended up dumping her to the floor. Gail Kim had to eat defeat off of the ropes and won. The amount of problems with this match. Look, these three tried. They tried to have a good match. I'll give them that. But they didn't. They didn't have a good match. What they had was not even average. It was a little bit below average. Like I said, the sloppiness of the match, the no-selling in that one spot, the embarrassing moment of Sienna, who's clearly the bigger woman of the three, having trouble picking up Allie for whatever reason, and worst of all, in my opinion, Gail Kim winning the championship in her last match in TNA. TNA, GFW, Impact Wrestling, whatever you want to call it. Look, there's a saying, there's a tradition. When you're getting up there in years and you're about to retire, what you usually do is you hang it up on your last match. You hang it up in your last match, but you do it by losing to your opponent to put them over. Hopefully make them better stars. I can name a bunch of examples. Steve Austin, as it turned out, did it for The Rock. Back in 2003, when Austin was basically forced to retire. William Regal, as it turned out, did it for Cesaro on NXT TV in late 2013, and what ended up being a great match. So William Regal got to end out strongly. A lot of guys, a lot of guys have the tradition, like, your last match, you gotta put over someone. Ric Flair did it for Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels did it for The Undertaker. Now, I know those aren't exactly young guys, but, in your last match, you always put over the other person. That's how it goes. It's like their swan song. Sting, as it turned out, put over Seth Rollins. And granted, that was a weird situation with Sting getting his back hurt, but yeah. So I can name several examples. Apparently, the women are exempt from this. Trish Stratus, in her last match as a full-time performer in WWE, she beat Lita for the WWE Championship. I love Trish Stratus, and I thought that was a pretty good match, but Trish winning, in my opinion, was the wrong move. Well, I guess it wasn't. I mean, it's debatable because that was her hometown. It was in Canada, and Trish Stratus was Canadian, or is Canadian. But still, you usually put over someone in your last match. That's tradition. Gail Kim, on the other hand, beat Sienna and Allie, who this company is desperately trying to get over as their new stars, and yet she still won. This match was all about Gail Kim. And even though the crowd was into it, it was a shitty finish because of who ended up winning. Gail Kim should not have won this match. It should have been either Sienna retaining, or even better, Allie winning the championship in a meaningful match at Bound for Glory. Not how she won the title the year previous, when she was still quote-unquote the assistant. We're talking about Allie, the wrestler Cherry Bomb, winning the Knockouts Championship, beating someone that she respects in Gail Kim, for the win. That's what you do. That is what you do. Batista did it for John Cena and for The Shield, and both times he left the company. Why couldn't Gail Kim do it here? Why did Gail Kim have to win? Why couldn't she have given the rub to Allie so we can give Allie a pretty damn good title reign? Instead, we had Gail Kim giving up the title, Allie yet again going for it, and then losing to Laurel Van Ness. Again, this company is screwing up probably one of their best talents in either Allie or Rosemary. It just pissed me off. Gail Kim winning was so stupid. So stupid. And if it was a Gail Kim call, then screw Gail Kim. If it was a Gail Kim call. But more likely, it was an Impact Wrestling call because for the many years that the Knockouts division was a fixture in TNA/GFW/Impact Wrestling, Gail Kim, they were always sucking the teat of Gail Kim. Not literally, but figuratively, they were constantly sucking the teat of Gail Kim. Like how WWE constantly tries to suck the teat off of John Cena and now Roman Reigns. Dumbasses. Now that rant is over, Jimmy Jacobs came out. He arrived commentary, got very little reaction, which again didn't make sense to me, considering the fact that Jimmy Jacobs, he worked in WWE, he was a star in Ring of Honor, yet he didn't get any reaction. I thought that was kind of stupid. Like, then again, this is Canada, what WWE likes to call Bizarro Land, so not everything always gets over. For whatever reason. I don't know. Dan Lambert came out. It was the Six Sides of Steel tag team match with Lashley and King Mo against Moose and Stephan Bonnar, who is the American Psycho, I think they called him. This was to play off the American Top Team story with American Top Team invading Impact on behalf of Bobby Lashley, Lashley leaving Impact, Moose still having a beef with him, and when he didn't get what he wanted, he and Stephan Bonnar in the dead of night destroyed American Top Team's area, gym, where, you know, their trophies and titles were at. Destroyed it, and now American Top Team was back out for revenge. And that's how we got here. Moose and this match should have been just Moose. It should have been just Moose and Lashley. Moose came out to a guy singing and rapping a song in the way that Moose does it. It was not that good. I'm glad they went back to his normal theme song for after Bound for Glory, I should say. King Mo and Stephan Bonnar, basically, here was the role for a lot of the match. King Mo and Stephan Bonnar would get beat up by Moose and Lashley respectively, and then Lashley and Moose would wrestle. Then they would get knocked down. Then Stephan Bonnar and King Mo would have an exchange, and then yet again get beat up by the wrestlers. This happened a couple of times, and honestly, this ruined the flow of the match. It should have been just Lashley and Moose for 10 minutes, because if these guys had like a back-and-forth kick-ass fight with American Top Team invading at the very end, I wouldn't have minded. But instead, we got Bonnar and Mo in there. And they didn't. I did kind of like the moment where they did like the takedown stuff, because it made it feel like, okay, they're MMA guys, they're doing MMA stuff. But it only lasted for a moment, and honestly, they kind of killed the flow of the match for a lot of people. Somewhere in here, King Mo got busted open, probably from getting tossed at the cage. He got bloodied up. So, yeah, that was a cool visual, I guess. Lashley gave a buckle bomb to Moose, but he came out of it with a spear. Bonnar, at one point in this match, looked blown up, and he hadn't really done all that much. Probably because Bonnar is not an in-ring performer. Moose, at least, is, I think, a fan of wrestling. He's been on TNA before, back in 2012 and 2014. Guess we're coming full circle now with 2018, 4 years later. But let's just get into it. For whatever reason, American Top Team, Colby Covington, Dan Lambert, and the rest of the guys, they got into the ring. How they got into the ring, I have no friggin' clue. There should have been a chain on that cage. It was the whole reason why they had a cage match, was to prevent American Top Team from getting in. But apparently, the referee didn't think of the idea to lock the cage door, so that way American Top Team's people would not get in. Good job, refs. You're idiots. So American Top Team came in. They beat up Moose and Bonnar. They sent Moose to the outside. It was Moose and King Mo to the outside. Dan Lambert, who I guess stole the key to the chain, took Mo. He took Mo because Moose hit the barricade at this point, so he was out. He took Mo, put him back in the ring, and then locked the chain from the inside. So it was just Stephan Bonnar against the rest of American Top Team. He tried to fight them off with knees and kicks. One of the kicks I actually liked. It was like a friggin' karate-style kick. I thought that was cool. But the numbers getting caught up to him. He got beaten up by American Top Team. Moose fought back. He climbed the cage and hit a high cross onto Lashley and one of the American Top Team guys. He went after Dan Lambert, but then Colby Covington got involved, beat up Moose a little bit, and then Lashley got him with the spear and for the win. This match, much like the Abyss Grado match, had little to no flow. The whole reason why the cage match was involved was to prevent American Top Team from getting in. But the referees were too dumb to realize that, apparently, because they didn't even bother locking the cage. Moose came out of the cage, and so did King Mo. That didn't even end the match, so clearly this was by pinfall or submission rules with a cage. This was much like Abyss and Grado. Had good spots, but there was so much bullshit that this ended up being an absolutely horrible match. This was not as bad as Abyss and Grado. It was a little bit better, but that's like saying getting shot in the knee is better than is worse than getting stabbed. Neither of those outcomes are good. This match I thought was a little bit better because Moose and Lashley were more prepared to wrestle than Abyss and Grado were, and I did like the high crossbody spot. That was like an extra little point for me. That was cool. Lastly, we had Eli Drake, the main event. Eli Drake defending the Impact. They're calling it the Impact Global Championship since they can't call it the GFW Championship anymore because of the whole Jeff Jarrett debacle. They're calling the Impact Global Champion Eli Drake defending this title against Johnny Mundo. Long story short, this ended up being a good match with an absolutely horrible finish. Not gonna name all the spots, just some of the big ones. Drake, somewhat early on in the match, he got a neck breaker on the apron, which was cool. There was a moment when he was trying to throw Johnny Mundo, Johnny Impact at the barricade. Johnny Impact slid below the barricade, and for a moment was hiding behind it, to the point where Drake had to try to get him. Impact then forearmed him, and then jumped over the barricade for a dive. I thought that was cool. This is something that, believe it or not, AJ Styles did a lot back in the TNA. He did it a lot. He was known for doing it in Impact in TNA. But throughout the match, Chris Adonis, former Chris Masters, would try to sneak attack Impact and attack him, just attack him behind the ref's back. That was to be expected. Even with that, it was still a good match because these guys got about 20 minutes to work. It was a nice little match. Drake, was going for several moves in the ring. None of them could put away Johnny Impact. Even crotching him on the barricade didn't even work. They went back up in the ring. Drake went up top. Impact cut him off and countered, I think, with a sun slut. No, he didn't counter with the. He tried countering with the I keep saying sun slept. The sunset flip power bomb. Thank you, Drake. But Drake then countered. Basically, he had a great looking springboard moonsault. Drake's not the kind of guy to do high flying, but when he does, he actually looks pretty good at it. It was actually fun to watch. Impact had another, not to be outdone, hit another great spot when basically Impact hit a backwards Samoan drop from the middle rope and then flipped up and then hit a standing shooting star press. That was awesome. That was a great spot. Impact went up top, went for the, they called it the Impact Elbow. I've heard it's also called the Thursday Night Delight, but they're calling it the Impact Elbow from the top rope. He went for the, he went for the Impact Elbow. Didn't work because Drake got out of the way. Drake went up top again, another spot from the top rope, hit a Spanish Fly on Johnny Impact. Again, another case of Impact being more, not Impact, Eli Drake being more athletic than I give him credit for. When that didn't work and Impact kicked out, Chris Adonis slid the title belt to Drake, probably to use as a weapon. He then took him out, got him with a disaster kick, then used the belt to hit Adonis, basically taking him. He took Adonis out with a belt shot to the head, so Adonis was no longer a fixture in the match. Went up top, hit the top rope Impact Elbow. That didn't work. Basically, the Impact Elbow, for those of you who don't know, basically it's like a sideways 450 with an elbow smash. New, definitely different, and I've honestly never seen anybody do that before. So that may have actually been an innovative move right there. Maybe it's not, but it's not a move I don't usually see. Eli Drake kicked out. They battled up top. Impact went on a Impact. Sorry, yeah, my eyes are hurting me here because I didn't get too much sleep. That and my eyes got contact with some. So yeah, he hit the top rope. Impact Elbow didn't work. Pulled Impact up top. Impact at one point, basically, he had him on the ground. On the ground in the ring, I should say. Went for Starship Pain, End of the World, Starship Pain, whichever you want to choose. And he gets it too. But then you see in the background of the crowd, Alberto El Patron pulls the ref out. I'll get to this in a second. Alberto El Patron pulls the ref out. Impact goes for a dive onto Alberto. Ends up hitting the ref instead. Alberto laid out Impact with a chair shot to the head. Grabbed the belt. Laid out Drake with it. Put Johnny Impact in the ring. Pulled Johnny Impact in the ring. Put Eli Drake's carcass right on top of Johnny Impact's corpse. And threw the ref back in the ring. Slapped him awake, basically. I think he may have hit Impact again with the chair. But, and then he pulled the ref in the ring and woke him up with a slap to the head, and Eli Drake retains the title. I thought the ending of this match fucking horrible. It was a good match. I'm not going to take away the rating for the match because these guys worked hard. But this match was fucking ruined in a lot of ways by the finish. I mean, I would have given this match a higher rating if it wasn't for the freaking finish. These guys were working hard. Even with the Adonis bullshit, they took Adonis out, and it would have been just Impact and Eli Drake. Then El Patron came out and basically beat up both guys, but Eli Drake still won. You know what this was? This was one of those old, shitty, Vince Russo style of booking, whether it's WCW or TNA. The overbooking bullshit was just off the charts for the show. Wrong decisions left and right. The only really good matches were the opening and the tag title match. Main event was okay, but ruined by the... It was ruined by the finish. The six-sided steel sucked because of overbooking. Abyss and Grado sucked because, well, the two guys in the ring just were way past their prime, or in Grado's case, as far as TNA went, he sucked. There was just a bunch of overbooking, and the way the show was booked, especially the ending, was just so fucking horrible. No wonder why so many people hated the show. Now, I'll give the show a little bit of credit. It was not as horrible as I thought it was going to be, but this was still a bad show. This was still overall a bad show. If anything, because of the booking and how the show was mapped out, as well as them screwing up with Jim Cornette, Taryn Terrell, and Taya Valkyrie, the latter of which couldn't even get matches. Were part of the matches on the show. One of the matches had to be cut. So, with that said, this is an unrecommended show. You watch the opener, watch the tag title match. The rest of it is not even worth going out of your way. You can even watch Eli Drake and Johnny Impact up until the finish. But aside from that, stay out of your way for this show. Not that good of a show. Just not that good of a show. Unless you're a reviewer like me and you want to torture yourself. So that gets said, guys, Bound for Glory 2017 review. I hope you enjoyed my ranting and raving against all the horrible decisions they made for this show. With that said, be well, stay safe, have a good day, and next time you're probably going to see me upload a short, just quick star rating video of a WCPW show. I think that's the earliest one on my list. So until next time, guys, later. And I'm going to get some ribs, because that show pissed me the fuck off.